knew her voice before I saw her. Low, calm, a little worn at the edges, like someone who'd learned to measure every word before letting it out. Again, she said. One more round. I wasn't sure if she meant it as encouragement or challenge. The gym was nearly empty. Just the buzz of the ceiling light and the faint thud of the punching bag. I hit the pads she held, my gloves tapping against her palms in steady rhythm. Her eyes didn't leave mine. Not once. Good, she said, breath steady. You're getting there. She had this way of looking, not like a coach checking form, but like she was reading something under the skin. The kind of gaze that made you straighten your spine and forget every other sound in the room. Her name was Elena. She didn't offer a last name, and I didn't ask. She was in her 40s, maybe mid-fit, but not in the showy way. Her body moved with quiet certainty, the kind that comes from years of knowing what you can handle and what you can't. I was 26 and still pretending to know either. Between rounds, she walked past me to grab a towel, brushing close enough for her shoulder to graze my arm. Static jumped in the air. Small, quick, but enough. She didn't apologize, just kept walking like it hadn't happened. But I noticed the faint change in her breathing. You're holding tension in your shoulders, she said after a pause. Probably nervous, I joked, setting the gloves down. Her lips curved, not quite a smile. Why nervous? Because you're, she tilted her head, waiting. Because you're watching, I finished. A moment hung there, quiet and sharp. She didn't laugh, didn't fill the silence. Just studied me like she was deciding what that meant. Observation's part of training, she said finally. But her tone was softer now. She turned away to adjust the stereo, her ponytail brushing her neck. Sweat caught in the light. The scent of citrus lotion and faint iron from the weights hung between us. I caught myself staring. Focus, she said without turning around. I smiled. You saw that. I see everything. There it was, a line that landed too close to something else. Something not about form or footwork. We went again. Jabs, blocks, short breaths. Her voice cutting through like a thread, pulling me tighter. Good. Faster. Don't think. But all I did was think. About the way her hand lingered too long when she adjusted my stance. Fingers at my wrist, tracing a path that didn't need to be traced. She noticed, too. I could tell by how she hesitated before letting go. By how she stepped back a little too quickly, as if distance could erase what happened in that half-second of touch. You learn fast, she said, voice lower now. You teach well, I answered. Another pause. The kind that makes you aware of your own heartbeat. Her gaze held mine. Unguarded for the first time, like she'd dropped something heavy and didn't plan to pick it up again. Then she blinked, just once, and the mask slid back into place. Last round, she said quietly. I nodded. Yeah, one more. But we both knew we weren't talking about training anymore. And then the door opened. A voice from the hallway. Elena? You still in there? She froze, her hand still hovering near my chest, fingers almost touching. I didn't move. Neither did she. The silence stretched. Her eyes flicked toward the door, then back to me. One breath, one heartbeat, before she stepped away. Cool down, she murmured, turning her back. Her voice was steady again, but her hands weren't. The next day, she pretended not to notice when I came in early. I pretended not to notice that she'd done her hair. The gym was quieter than usual. Sunday morning quiet. Light through the windows caught the dust in the air, making everything look softer, slower. Elena was kneeling by the mats, rolling them into place. I watched her a second too long before forcing my eyes away. Couldn't stay away? She asked, not looking up. You said I learn fast, I said. Figured I'd prove it. Her mouth twitched. Proving something already, huh? She stood, brushed her palms on her leggings, and handed me the gloves. Her fingers grazed mine, not by accident, not quite on purpose. We didn't mention what happened yesterday. We didn't have to. It hung between us, invisible but alive, like heat you only feel when you stand still long enough. While I warmed up, she circled me. Close, too close. Her breath brushed my neck when she said, You're still overthinking. I laughed, though it came out shaky. Maybe I just don't want to mess up in front of you. She stopped behind me. You will. Everyone does. Then quieter. I did. Her tone changed, something raw bleeding through. I turned, gloves hanging at my sides. What happened? She hesitated, looked toward the window. Just life. Marriage that didn't last. Plans that did until they didn't. She tried to sound casual, but her hands told on her. One thumb rubbing the other, slow, restless. You? She asked, maybe to deflect. Nothing that dramatic. I'm just tired of temporary. That made her glance up. Our eyes met, and for a moment, it felt like she saw straight through me. Not just the words, but the ache under them. That's dangerous, she said. Wanting something that lasts. Why? Because people don't, she said. Not really. Her voice had that steady trainer tone again, but it didn't fool either of us. She moved closer, correcting my stance, pressing her palm between my shoulders. Her hand stayed there longer than it should have. My skin warmed under her touch. Neither of us spoke. Better? She murmured finally, her breath grazing my ear. I swallowed. You sure this isn't too close for training? She let her hand fall away, slow, measured. You're the one who came early. We went back to work, jabs, dodges, small corrections. Every motion felt sharper, heavier because of what we weren't saying. At one point, our hands met again when we reached for the same water bottle. She froze, then laughed under her breath, quiet and nervous. We should set boundaries, she said. I smiled. You're the one breaking them. That got me a look. One of those unreadable ones, part warning, part invitation. She stepped closer, close enough that I could see the small scar near her collarbone. Her voice dropped. You have no idea what you're doing. Maybe not, I said. But I think you do. She didn't answer, just held my gaze a second too long. The air thick, unsteady, before turning away to switch off the lights. Her hand brushed mine again in the dark. Not accidental this time. And neither of us moved. By Tuesday. The air between us had changed. She was quieter, more deliberate. Each instruction shorter, clipped like she was holding something back. I matched her silence. We didn't talk about what we were doing, we just kept doing it. But the rhythm of training had shifted. Fewer punches. More pauses. Longer looks. When she adjusted my stance now, she didn't correct. She lingered. Her fingers traced down my arm, found the pulse at my wrist, then let go before it said too much. Outside, rain had started, soft at first, then harder. The windows fogged over, blurring the world beyond. You can stop if you want, she said, stepping closer to check my guard. I don't want to, I said. She looked up at me, eyes catching the dim light. You should. But she didn't step back. The rain hammered louder. The only other sound was our breathing, hers slow and shallow, mine uneven. Her hand came up to adjust my chin. My skin buzzed under her touch. Better, she whispered. I don't know if she meant my form or something else. Then her phone buzzed. We both jumped. She turned away too fast, grabbing her phone off the bench. A man's name flashed across the screen. Caleb, ex-husband. Before she silenced it, her shoulders tightened. He always calls at the worst time, she muttered, almost to herself. I waited, not sure what to say. When she finally looked at me again, her voice had changed. You should go. I hesitated. Elena. Please, she said. Not angry, just tired. I nodded, started to pull off my gloves. Then the door opened. Hey, Lena, you got a client in. Oh. A younger woman in a staff hoodie stood frozen at the doorway, holding a clipboard. Her eyes flicked from me to Elena, reading the distance or lack of it. Elena stepped forward quickly. Yeah, just wrapping up. Give me a minute. The woman nodded, awkward smile, and disappeared. The silence that followed felt heavier than the rain. Elena turned toward me, rubbing her temples. This is exactly what I didn't want. What do you mean? Rumors. Misunderstandings. I don't need that again. Her voice cracked just slightly on again. I stepped closer, instinct more than decision. We're not doing anything wrong. She looked up, eyes shining, uncertain. Aren't we? I didn't answer. Couldn't. We stood there, close enough to feel each other's breath. Her hand half raised, like she might touch my face, but stopped halfway. Don't, she whispered. I'm not. You're thinking about it. So are you. The air snapped tight between us. She exhaled shakily, one hand gripping the edge of the table like it was the only thing keeping her steady. I could see every pulse in her throat, every war she was losing behind her calm. Go home, she said softly. I didn't move. Then she looked at me, really looked, and whatever wall she had left started to crack. The rain outside drowned everything else. She stepped closer instead of away. Please, she murmured again. But this time it didn't sound like a command. It sounded like surrender. And neither of us pretended not to hear it was late. The gym had closed an hour ago, but neither of us had left. Elena sat on the edge of the ring, taping her wrist even though we weren't training. I leaned against the ropes, pretending not to watch her, failing miserably. You shouldn't still be here, she said without looking up. You shouldn't either. Her mouth curved faintly. You always have an answer. Only for you. That made her pause. She set the tape down and finally met my eyes. Something flickered there, fear maybe, or something she didn't want named. I'm not your project, she said. You don't need to fix me. I wasn't trying to. Then what are you doing? The question hit harder than it should have. I don't know, I said. I can't stop thinking about you. Her breath caught, barely audible, but I heard it. She stood, slowly, walked over until she was close enough for me to see the faint sweat at her collarbone, the way her pulse trembled there. This is wrong, she whispered. You know that. Maybe, I said, but it doesn't feel that way. Her hand lifted before she could stop it, fingertips brushing my jaw. The touch was light, testing, like she was waiting for permission she already had. I covered her hand with mine. Tell me to stop, I said. She didn't. Instead, she let out a shaky laugh, half nervous, half relieved. You're a kid. Then why do you keep looking at me like that? Her eyes flashed, a mix of guilt and want. Because you make me forget how old I am. Good, I said. You make me remember who I am. That undid her. Her breath hitched as she turned away, one hand braced on the ring post. You have no idea what this would cost me, she said quietly. People talk. They always talk. Let them, I said. She shook her head, hair falling loose from its tie. I reached up, slowly, and tucked a strand behind her ear. My knuckles brushed her skin, and she closed her eyes like it was too much. Elena, I said. Her name came out low, almost a plea. When she opened her eyes again, all the careful distance she'd built was gone. She stepped closer until her chest nearly touched mine. You should leave, she whispered. I will, I said. If you tell me to. Her lips parted, but no words came. The room felt smaller, like even the air was holding its breath. Her hand found my shirt, gripping it, knuckles white. She was trembling. Then footsteps in the hall. A voice. Lena? You still here? We both froze. Her hand stayed on my chest, heartbeat against heartbeat. Her eyes searched mine. Panic, desire, something breaking open. The voice called again, closer this time. She leaned in, breath warm against my cheek, and whispered, Go, now. I hesitated. Elena, please. I turned toward the door, but her fingers brushed mine as I passed, just enough to stop me for half a second. Tomorrow, I said. She didn't answer, but her silence was louder than yes. The next morning, the gym felt colder, emptier somehow, even though the same music hummed low from the speakers. Elena was already there when I walked in. No greeting, no glance, just the quiet rhythm of her wiping down the weights. I dropped my bag by the wall. You didn't text back. She kept cleaning. There was nothing to say. Nothing. She finally looked up, and the look in her eyes wasn't anger. It was exhaustion. You think this is easy for me? I stepped closer. I think you're pretending it's nothing when it's not. That stopped her. The cloth in her hand froze midair. You don't know what you're talking about. Then tell me. Her jaw tightened. I can't. The way she said it, low, fragile, made something twist in my chest. Can't or won't. She turned away, rubbing her wrist like it hurt. You should really drop this. But I didn't. Couldn't. Before I could speak again, the door opened. The same staff woman from last week, clipboard, nervous eyes. Hey, Lena, can we talk? It's about the cameras. Elena's head snapped up. What cameras? The woman swallowed. The ones near the ring. They've been uploading footage to the shared server. The manager saw, her eyes darted toward me. He wants to talk to you. The silence that followed burned. Elena's face drained of color. You can go, she said, voice barely steady. The woman hesitated, then left, closing the door behind her. I exhaled. Elena, she spun on me. Do you understand what that means? They'll delete it. They saw Tyler. The name hit the air like a slap. She'd never said it before. She pressed her hand to her forehead. I could lose everything. My clients, my job. I stepped closer. We didn't even... It doesn't matter, she snapped, then stopped herself. God, it doesn't matter what we did. It's what they think we did. Her voice cracked. That shook me more than the words. I reached for her, but she pulled back. Too fast. Don't, she whispered. Please, just don't touch me right now. Her breathing quickened. I could see the pulse jumping at her throat. She turned away, but I caught the tremor in her shoulders. I'm sorry, I said quietly. She laughed, short and bitter. You think this is about sorry? I think it's about us. She stopped, slowly turned around. Us? She repeated, softer now. You really believe that's what this is? I didn't answer right away. Couldn't. She stepped toward me, 1, 2, 3 slow steps, until the air between us thinned. You don't know what you're asking for, she said.
Ido, he whispered.
I want you. Her breath caught again, that same small sound she tried to hide. Her eyes softened just for a heartbeat, then hardened. You should hate me, she said. Too late. Her hand twitched, wanting to reach, not daring to. They'll think we crossed the line, she said. We didn't, I said. Her voice dropped. Not yet. She moved past me toward the door, close enough that her arm brushed mine. Her scent, clean sweat, faint jasmine, clung to me after she was gone. And for the first time, I realized she wasn't trying to protect herself anymore. She was trying to protect me. The gym was closed again, but she left the door unlocked. Maybe on purpose, maybe not. When I stepped in, the lights were off except for the faint blue glow from the vending machine. The air smelled like rain and rubber mats. She was sitting on the floor near the ring, knees drawn up, hair loose around her shoulders. You shouldn't be here, she said without looking up. Neither should you. She laughed under her breath, quiet and tired. We really don't learn, do we? I sat down beside her, not touching, not speaking, just listening to the hum of the soda machine and the soft rhythm of her breathing. They suspended me, she said finally, until the review's done.
I'm sorry.
It was bound to happen. She looked at her hands, fingers restless. You could still walk away from this clean. I don't want clean, I said. I just want honest. That made her look up. Her eyes were red but steady. Honest. I nodded. I think about you. All the time. Even when I try not to. She exhaled, shaky. You're supposed to say something easier than that. I don't know how. Silence stretched, not empty but full, the way a held breath is full. Then she shifted closer, her knee brushing mine. The smallest contact, but it felt like the room tilted around it. This is the part where we make a decision, she said. Where adults do the right thing. Define right, I whispered. Her eyes flicked to my mouth, then back. Right is walking away. Then why aren't you? She didn't answer. Her hand lifted, stopped halfway, then finally touched my face, fingers tracing the line of my jaw like she'd been memorizing it in secret. "I hate that you make me feel like this," she said. "Then don't." Her lips curved, sad and soft. "That's not how it works." I leaned in, close enough to feel her breath, warm against my cheek. The air pulsed between us. "Say it," I murmured. "What?" "That you don't want this." She closed her eyes. "I can't." Her voice broke on the last word. And that was it, the moment where everything could fall apart or finally make sense. Her forehead rested against mine. Neither of us moved. Every inch of space that still existed between us was shaking. Then she whispered, barely audible, "You were supposed to be a client. You were supposed to be safe." "I never was," I said. A long pause. Then, quietly, "Neither was I." We stayed like that, no kiss, no breaking point, just two people who had run out of places to hide. When she finally pulled back, her hand lingered on my chest, right over my heartbeat. "This will cost us," she said. "I know. And you'd still choose it?" "Yes." She nodded once, small, resigned, but real. And in that silence we both understood. It wasn't about training anymore. It never had been. Weeks passed before I saw her again. The gym was open, bright, too normal. But everything had shifted. The staff nodded politely. No one said a word about the suspension. People forget faster than they forgive, I guess. She was wiping down the counter when she noticed me standing near the door. For a second, she froze, then smiled. Small, uncertain, but real. "Hey," I said. "Hey." It felt strange, that single word carrying every conversation we hadn't had. I stepped closer. "You back for good?" "Yeah," she said softly. "They dropped it. Said it was a misunderstanding." I nodded. "Good." The silence that followed wasn't awkward this time. Just quiet, familiar. "I wasn't sure you'd come back," she said finally. "I wasn't sure you'd want me to." She looked down at her hands. "I shouldn't." But she didn't finish the sentence. When she finally looked up, her eyes were tired, but open. "You're younger, Tyler. You have time to make better choices than this." I smiled a little. "Maybe this is the better choice." She shook her head, laughing under her breath. "You don't even know what you're giving up." "Neither do you," I said. That stopped her. Something in her softened, like she'd been holding her breath for too long. She walked around the counter, close enough that her sleeve brushed mine. Her scent hit me again. That mix of soap and citrus and something warm I couldn't name. "Every time I thought I'd let go," she whispered, "you'd show up again. Then stop letting go." She smiled. That quiet, careful smile that had undone me the first day I met her. No ruse. No grand gesture. She just stepped closer until our foreheads touched. The same closeness as before, only calmer now. Her hand found mine, fingers threading through, steady and deliberate. "You make everything too loud," she said. "Then I'll stay quiet," I whispered. We stood like that for a long time, the kind of silence that says everything words can't. The hum of the air conditioner, the faint clang of weights in the next room, the soft rhythm of her breathing against me. She leaned back just enough to meet my eyes. "This isn't simple," she said. "I don't want simple." Her thumb brushed the inside of my wrist, tracing the beat there. "Then maybe we'll figure it out. Slowly." I nodded. "One round at a time." That got a real laugh out of her. Low, warm, unguarded. She leaned into me then, resting her head on my shoulder. I wrapped an arm around her, feeling the weight of her settle, the way she finally let herself rest. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't even certain. But it was real, and that was enough. The world outside the gym kept moving. Inside, we stayed still a moment longer, just breathing the same air, holding on like maybe this time neither of us had to let go. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next?